What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Hope everybody's doing well today. Thank you all so much for tuning in here, y'all. As we are finally live once again with the Tuffy Talk live show, y'all. Got myself, Lane Smith, here, and Greg Leg, and we'll also have the rest of the Tuffy Talk crew here joining us momentarily. But in the meantime, we wanted to go ahead and get things rolling here as we got a lot to get to today. In fact, actually, instead of doing, what you got?
Wait, we're not just going to talk about volleyball for an hour?
I mean, we could, man. We could. I'm telling you,
something happened today?
Yeah, something else happened today. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, we definitely could talk volleyball, and we'll definitely make sure to give them their shout today for sure, as they much deserve it. But obviously, I mean, man, what else can we talk about today? Well, I mean, I loved the jerseys last week. That was one thing we can do. No, of course, when we're talking all things MJ for sure, gotta talk about here today. I'm sure a lot of you have thoughts, comments, and make sure to send those thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, issues, whatever it may be. Make sure to send them here in the chat, and we will get to them here today. I'm already see Andy and Michelle and our guy in game Michael here in the chat already. So make sure to go ahead and send them in and join along with them. And we'll get to them, but with that being said, just kind of give a FYI in terms of how this is going to work. So for this week, what we're actually going to be doing, because we kind of put two and two together, more than likely most fans are not really interested about what Marshall is going to be giving us. Now probably not a lot of people are interested in, what's Marshall going to be looking like. We'll talk a little bit about them for sure, but not necessarily as in depth of bringing on somebody. What we're going to be doing is a lot of talking about the program, a lot about what we've seen so far through 5 games. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing our hour here on the live show, and then right after this live show, we're going to record our 2 episodes of Tuffy Talk After Dark. So basically what we give the name for our episodes as more of a continuation of the live stream. So after you see this live stream here today, or listen to it, or however you're watching or listening to us, make sure to tune in Wednesday morning and Thursday morning as we come out with parts 1 and parts 2 of our Tuffy Talk After Dark episodes, where we continue our conversation from here today. So with that being said, yes, Infinite Hate already in here. I love this comment. We are now officially a volleyball school and women's cross country, wrestling, swimming, wrestling, and women's tennis. Absolutely. Love it. And that's all true. So with that being said, though, I got my man Macon here. Macon, what's going on?
Not much, guys. Glad to be here.
Welcome back,
man.
I know, man. Back like I never left.
That's right.
Oh, you missed a few things.
I saw that.
And now for those curious, Macon was overseas on a trip, and so Macon, I mean, were you keeping up with it at the time, or did you find out later how the game went?
So
do they have internet there?
We're talking about the QB situation, right?
Absolutely.
No, about the Louisville game.
General Louisville. So I was traveling back from overseas, and so I got into Chicago, and the game was at 7 p.m. right. So my flight coming back to Greensboro was at it was basically 7 p.m. It was basically kickoff. So I got to sit in the plane and watch the first portion of the plane because we were taxiing and all that. So okay, whatever. And then I was like, I can't watch on the plane. So I got to Greensboro, and I was like, okay. I was like, oh, 10-0 halftime. I mean, I'm just low expectations. I was like, all right, it's 10-0 though. That's something. And I thought, I'm so tired. I'm not even going to watch this rest of this game. And I woke up the next morning, and I saw the score, and I was like, I'm so glad I did not watch that game. I was like, what happened? And looked at this. I just kind of looked into it, and I saw some clips. I saw the first touchdown Louisville threw. I saw the last play on NC State's possession of the game, and
technically that was the only touchdown that Louisville had. So
I know, right? Because they had 2 field goals, right? So
yep.
And then I just kind of looked at the box score, the targeting, who was targeted where. I have questions.
Yeah.
I have questions.
We all do, I think. I don't think we can even answer them.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Where do you want to go with this, Layden?
So probably what we'll do for the sake of the live show, so that way we don't have to worry about editing with the tweets of the week, we'll probably focus on tweets of the week and questions for the live stream, and then we'll kind of talk like the thoughts on the game and then thoughts about Marshall during the Tuffy Talk After Dark, if that's cool with y'all.
Cool.
But so want to give a shout out, Michelle. Good Marvelous Monday from Asheville. Thank you, Michelle. Always a great follower and appreciate it.
Michelle was at the volleyball game yesterday.
Yeah. Nah, she's a big follower.
There.
I love it. Yeah, big win. And we'll talk about that here on the live show. Right. Andy's saying happy MJ Monday here in Concord.
Who had that on their bingo card today?
Yeah, right. I and again, we'll talk about it here in 1 second. Screw it. Let's go and jump on topic tweets of the week. Here we go, y'all. So, if anybody's been living under a rock, today it was announced by Dave Doran that MJ Morris will be taking over as the Wolfpack starting quarterback. And perfect timing because we got Michael Tracy here, so we got pretty much the whole crew here, minus Kins. But again, I mean, first things I do want to say is I was actually very shocked that Doran announced it today, just because of the fact that over the years he's been very, just consistency wise, he usually waits to hold this for competitive purposes, to get the team, like in this case, to prepare for Brandon Armstrong. But then, guess what? MJ's the starter. And it's like, oh crap. But I think that honestly, probably, kind of after doing some talking and some thinking myself, I think that a lot of the reason behind it was to get people to be excited about coming to the Marshall game. I know that there was probably, unfortunately some, and rightfully so, some, people who maybe say, you know what, I'd rather maybe sell my tickets and just instead of going to see that offense that we saw against Louisville, which, I get it. And so I think now this kind of gets a little bit more excitement, about the game here on Saturday, a little bit more juice. Yeah. Which we definitely needed. So yeah, making original thoughts, man, go for it.
Man, I don't even know where to start on this one. I would just say I would be very interested to be in, just to hear and listen on those conversations, because I was talking to my brother about this earlier today. I was like, they brought him in to be the guy to replace Devin Leary. And they know they've got MJ, but the whole point is they want to redshirt MJ, and this is going to be our guy. Paid him good NIL money. I mean, they paid MJ good NIL money too to keep him to stay and play second string.
Yep.
But you brought the same OC that he had in 2021, where he threw for 4,400 yards and 10 rushing touchdowns and whatever it was, 31 passing touchdowns. It would just things would point to him being more like that than he was 2022 Brandon Armstrong.
100%.
And so you're kind of positioning this guy to be the guy this year, and he is the guy this year. He was one captain. You send him over to ACC Media Day, and you're already benching him 5 games into the season because he looks like he does not have – he's not seeing the field, or he's not making the right plays.
Or blocking,
I don't know what it is.
Or catching the ball, or
but if it's not him, right? That's not him. That's
no. I was being facetious.
So then I look at like targets. Like, okay, maybe is it really him? Is it play calling? Is it because part of it is like, is he
all the above?
Is he making the play that he's supposed to make? Right. That's a question that only the team knows. And if you really watch film, which I don't really watch film, you could know. But really, it's a team. It's the coaching staff and offense who knows what it's supposed to be called. And I don't know, man. I just look at some of these things like, okay, I think who's our best offensive player right now besides Brandon?
Does punting count?
I was about to give this trivia question. I think you're probably about to ask me.
No, it's not a trivia question. It's just like, who's your opinion? Because I have an opinion. I think everybody else.
Dylan McMahon.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's say this. Besides offensive line, who's your best skill position player?
Yeah,
skill. Kevin Concepcion. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Why does Kevin Concepcion have 3 targets the whole game? Why? Now, like Rosner had 5 targets, but he was 2 for 5. That's bad on Rosner, right?
Well, maybe not.
Well, but just bad in general.
5
it's
is not great. That's 40%.
Yeah, but because it's a target doesn't mean it was a catchable ball.
Right.
Sure.
But I mean, but the connection is not there. Yeah. It's not effective.
So I'm looking here at these guys. I'm just like, Penix only got the ball. Penix targeted twice. He's 1 for 2. Allen was 2 for 2. Mims was 2 for 2. That's great. Lassane has 1 for 3 for -2 yards. Yep. Timmons was 3 for 4. It's good. But like I'm looking like my main thing is why is Conception only getting 3 targets? Is that because he was locked up the whole game? Was he? I don't know.
No. Well, let me add in one thing too, because this kind of goes to the point about about Brandon Armstrong. Like I really look at pulling Brandon Armstrong, not necessarily saying that this is all because of Brennan, because it's not because of Brennan. It's because of play calling. It's because of offensive line. It's because of wide receivers, catching, things like that, efforts, some things like that. And just to kind of drive home that point. So do you guys want to take a guess, and if you've already seen this on PFF, then don't do it. Who do you guys think was the highest graded pass protector on Friday?
I have it pulled up, so I'm not even going to answer.
McKay.
That's a good guess. Michael?
I know the answer.
Okay. It's Jacarius Peak, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jacarius Peak.
Really
and
played well in pass protection.
And then Greg, who do you think was the lowest protecting? Who do you think was the lowest graded run blocker on the offensive side?
It was probably Allen.
Wait. We're talking about line?
Yeah. In general, Jacarius Peak. Jacarius Peak literally had a lower run blocking grade than even Kevin Concepcion. Like how does the offensive lineman have?
I don't see that on my end. I see. Regardless, it's bad. It's low.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, either way, like it's just it's been a huge struggle bus ever since Dylan McMahon's gotten injured, for sure. And so to me, I kind of look at pulling Brennan as like pulling the goalie in hockey, where it's kind of like it's not necessarily saying that we're sucking because of the goalie or all these goals are going in because of the goalie, but it's more of kind of a momentum shift, being like, all right, let's pull this guy and let's see if it gets the team fired up to step it up and start to make some moves to try and get this thing going.
It also reminds me of like a coach getting ejected, right? Like a basketball coach getting ejected to kind of fire their team up. Yeah, or baseball. Yeah, I just think you need a spark. I think that's really what this is about. Like, I think it's like if you had to put a percentage on play versus spark, I would almost go 50-50 on this. I think it's pretty much an equal thing. Like I was joking a few minutes ago, like it's not Brendan Armstrong's fault that the receivers aren't getting open or catching the ball. It's not like we're not picking up blitzes. We're not running the ball effectively. Like Brendan Armstrong is not responsible for all of that. It's just not. Like did he make a few bad decisions over the last couple of games? Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. But you win and lose as a team, but unfortunately the quarterback position gets all the praise and gets all of the negativity, if you will, if they don't win. So it's just what comes with the territory of playing quarterback.
Yeah, and absolutely.
I think it's kind of the last big move, at least, that Dorn and I had to kind of jumpstart the offense for the rest of the season. They've been rotating the receivers all year, so they've given plenty of people chances there. Against Louisville, we're talking about Peak. They played him most of the game at right tackle and moved the guards around, and that was just a disaster. So, I think that the season's, you're still sitting at 3-2. You're only 1-1 in the ACC. You still got a chance to make something good out of the season. So it was kind of, I think if they were going to make the move this week, was the right week with Marshall.
Oh, it needed to be. It needed to be.
Duke, yeah.
So let me ask you this. You said with Marshall, and of course, Coach Dorn says it's not because of Marshall. So do you agree? Do you think that's true? I tend to believe that it's a home game before back-to-back road games, and so you can get them kind of comfortable. You think it's Marshall?
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to start them on the road at Duke. You're not going to start them at home against Clemson, and then And then he gets the last 4 games, which at that point you could still play him and get his red shirt, but then you're just playing for the red shirt. So now if you're playing him to try and win this season, I think this is definitely the week to do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and because again, like I went into this game saying, if there's going to be a game where we start to see that Brandon Armstrong we expected, it's this game. Like, all the chips are aligned. Like, this is the game where if we're going to win, it's going to be because we need the offense to be effective. Now, luckily enough, our defense played well above better than probably most of us, including myself, expected. I mean, holding this explosive Louisville offense who blew teams out of the water to only 13 points. And
they were averaging over 35 points a game.
Yeah, and we held them to 13. So that's why I'm saying is that I think that, I mean, for the sake of, even for myself, like, being a big time Brandon Armstrong supporter, I'm sitting here. I was sitting there after the game going, and let me tell you guys, and I've told a couple people this, that there was one play in particular that once this play happened, I said, he's not the guy. Specifically, it was the play where Kevin Concepcion almost got injured, where basically it was, left hash, towards the boundary. It was an easy 3 to 5 yard out. And literally Brennan threw it so far outside that Kevin Concepcion literally had to dive for the ball just to have a chance of catching it. I'm sitting there going, Brennan, you have probably thrown that route 100,000 times. Like, you could probably throw that route with your eyes closed, man. Like, there's no reason that ball shouldn't have hit him right in the chest, man. Like that was the easiest throw that a quarterback can make. And the fact that he couldn't even throw that accurate, it's like, no, it's just, so then there's something wrong.
To your point, then, Leighton, when I come back to just as bewildering to me is, how did 2021 happen?
I'm telling you.
Maybe he's just having a lapse, but it's like,
I mean,
it's a bad time to have a lapse.
In fairness, he had a really good supporting cast. Like,
but I mean,
their wide receivers were really good. They had a good offensive line.
Were they that good? Were they that good? Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, were they
not from 4,500 to this
versus right? I mean, I'm not. I thought the same thing, Greg. I was like, okay, he did have big receivers that were good receivers on Tavian Wicks, Jelani Woods, but I was like, they're not studs. They might be good players in college, but like, I just don't remember. I don't know what it is, man. I don't know what
There's no explanation. No explanation. It makes no sense whatsoever.
And I'm not saying either one of us are right or wrong. It just
I know.
I mean, because it's one of those cases. Is it the quarterback makes the receiver better, or the receiver makes the quarterback? Is it just so maybe their schedule? I just don't know what the combination there of which made them effective.
So I'm looking here too, just for the record, for what we said earlier, confirmed Leighton was right. I was looking at the season as a total, but for the individual game, Peak was literally the lowest graded run blocker.
He's just too small at this point. He hasn't put on the weight yet,
but he's a really good pass blocker, just a really bad run blocker. Interestingly enough, PFF has this as the Notre Dame game overall graded lower than the Louisville game, just
offensively.
Overall.
So
he gave Notre Dame, we got a 55.6 grade.
Yeah, but it's probably because our defense carried us more in this Louisville game than the Notre Dame. Giving up 13 points by giving up over 30.
45.
So to speak, pass rush.
I can't remember the number, but it was over 30.
Pass rush was worse in this game. But you're probably right, Greg. That's probably part of it. Every other category in defense except pass rushing, we were better in the Louisville game.
Yeah.
So I want to get to some comments here. So Doc asks, is MJ healthy? Realistically, with our poor offensive line play, lack of wide receiver talent, too much dependency on our running backs. I mean, first and foremost, and again, and I kind of had this conversation with my wife being like, unfortunately, now we're in that situation that I and a lot of people were saying that we didn't want to be in going into the season if we didn't bring in a guy like Brendan, which is now you are basically almost reliant on MJ because, God forbid if anything so should happen to him, like he got injured, then you're reliant on Brennan, and then second string is Lex Thomas, or like.
Oh, you mean like Armstrong?
Like, MJ goes down. And Brennan, you have to play Brennan. Then who's behind him? Like you don't have Jack Chambers and Ben Finley. Like you don't have 4 guys. You have 2 guys basically. And
it's probably not Lex. It's probably Ethan Rhodes or whatever his name is.
Yeah. What is it? Yeah, maybe. But I mean, like I think that Lex has the higher ceiling, so maybe God forbid in that situation, do you see if he can, be that knight in shining armor? Which I
hope we're not on our way to another 4 quarterback season with this.
Well, and luckily enough, again, knock on wood, this is not injury related. This is simply performance. So and spark. So in terms of healthy, I'm sitting here saying, listen, I get it. There's an issue with the offensive line in terms of his protection, but you got to do something. Like there's just too much talent. There's too many guys. There's too much of an opportunity still even left for this season for us to call it a day and pack it up. All right, this is rebuilding season. See y'all 2024. Like, no, you got guys like Peyton Wilson. You got a guy like Rosner, who can be effective. You got great wide receiver talent, but just guys that need to click. And then defense wise, you got Aiden White. You got a heck of a defense like that. You can't just let go.
The defense is too good not to keep you in ball games. It's just, unless your offense goes out and throws 5 turnovers or turns the ball over 5 times. Yeah, you're going to be in ball games. The defense is just really good.
You just need marginal improvement on offense. Like we're talking about 13 points you held Louisville to. You just need to get in the end zone one more time.
I redid the math. They were averaging 43 points a game. Yeah. I threw out 38 because just as a rough number in my head, but 43 points a game, and we held them 13.
Wow. Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah, so. I just don't really know, man. I said it in the Discord earlier. For those who aren't on that, they need to check it out. But I was like, all I gotta say basically is MJ better be better than Armstrong, because all of these fans claim for him. I get it. He looked good in the small sample size we saw. You have to make a change if you're Durham, regardless, because you just can't just say, "Hey, we're going to stick with what we're seeing." So you have to make that change. And he better be better. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a win-win either way for Dorn, because if MJ comes in and does really good, there'll be people being like, "Why didn't you play him earlier?" But
see, we're smarter than you, coach. I hate. Yeah.
At the same time, you're winning games, and that's really all that.
And he's younger. He's younger than Brennan, right? So he could. You could just say, "Well, why would we at this point? Why would we ever go back to Brennan? Because MJ's younger. You could just get into play, get the reps in."
So that's a good question.
And maybe there's some things that are good for Brennan in some situations, but like.
So barring injury, is Armstrong done?
No, I still think
he's too good with his legs to be done.
He's effective, and again, if we are really truly worried about making sure MJ stays healthy, then I think on a 3rd and 1 or on a goal line, you bring in Brennan.
I think you could see him, yeah.
And again, you can even use him maybe on some trick plays, things like that. If Nye wants to go that to that point, So I still think you got to involve him. Let Brennan take some of the hits, that you can kind of keep away from MJ. Because that was one thing that everybody says I want Tim Beck back, which again we're not even going to get in that whole conversation. But the one thing which I'll say is you cannot have MJ run the ball 15 times a game. He can't. You can't afford that.
Right, but I still come back to I know everyone's like, oh, MJ Morris. Like, wasn't he starting for Boston College last year? College game.
Yeah, just saying.
He was injured in that game. I don't think he was full strength in that game.
Okay, maybe then I'll take that back. I just go ahead, Blake.
Well, he played in that game. He was probably playing Hurts. Now,
I forgot about that.
But again, keeping in mind that once again, we still have not seen MJ play against a top tier ACC defense yet. We have not seen him start on the road yet. So again, we don't know. And I'm sitting here saying, literally, if MJ goes against Marshall and throws for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns,
who's undefeated.
Like if he goes off against Marshall, then I'm still going to stand by the fact that it was still the right move to play Brennan up until this point. Why? Because you didn't know. You have no idea. And obviously from and because you do not see practice, you're not in the meeting rooms. Like we know nothing. We don't know anything.
How good does he know the offense?
How good is what?
Yeah. How well does he grasp the offense? How well does he know it?
They said he's ready. They said he's ready, right?
Well, now he is. This is game 5. Was he ready game 2 or game 3 when you started to see that?
But they weren't going to play if they didn't have to.
No, 1,000%.
Right.
No, 1,000%.
Yeah.
And that's the argument, right? So if MJ comes out and is MJ him, right, as everyone keeps anointing him, If he, and you get the fan base, like we were just saying a few minutes ago, well, why did you play him earlier? You still, I think Coach Doran still has, well, these were my reasons, and they're very valid reasons. And look, you're never gonna please 100% of the fan base, but if you give a rational argument, most rational fans will go, okay, I can see that, and then it's done.
Yeah, you can't. You can't judge the decision on to bring Armstrong in based on now 5 games later, knowing all the facts of how he would play. If you told Doran last year Armstrong's going to play like crap against Louisville and you're going to lose that game, and he'd be like, okay, we'll just stick with MJ. It's like,
but there's no way you would guess that with him playing with an eye again. There's no way you would guess that.
I mean, you could guess it after that. Let me be fair.
Not to this point.
I just didn't think he'd be. Like, what's his season? Let's look at what he's been like this season. He's 3 for 2. Okay, what's his season his statistics looking like?
Well, while you look that up, making real quick, Mark brings in a point here saying, I think he's lost confidence dating back to last year, hasn't been able to get it back. And I mean, that's the only explanation I can think of. Like, it doesn't make sense otherwise. It really doesn't.
And, so, Brennan, go ahead.
I don't want to, it's not
keep dwelling on the guy.
Yeah, but
we talk about
he was also
positions.
on that Virginia team that went through, a terrible tragedy that, that's still definitely affects somebody, even if it's the next year at a different school. Like, you're still.
Yeah. I think that's a great point, though. Like, at the end of the day, these guys are still young men and they're human. And so it's still a kid's game. And I get it. We as fans want to see results, but I don't know. Like, he went out there and did his best. He obviously wasn't going out to try to lose his job to MJ Morris. It just hasn't worked out. I mean, for whatever reason, good, bad, and different. And look, and we've said it, and I think anyone that's watched, one full game or 2 full games of NC State this year will see that there's tons of holes on the offense, and there's no guarantee that changing the quarterback's going to get a different result with the other position groups. It's just not.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you're pigeonholing it on Jane as the QB. Oh, MJ's going to come in and then just going to be magic.
Right.
It's not happening.
It's going to be like this.
Right. It's not happening. It's not happening. Yeah. So it might. I mean, okay, could happen yet, but it's just not happening. So, like, I'm looking at his stats. Brenton Armstrong, he is 94 for 160. So that's a 58.8% completion percentage,
which isn't horrible.
I mean, it's not good.
Not current.
Well, and probably a lot of that's VMI, so
yeah, right. Yeah. If you take that game away.
So, like, for reference, I'm going to go with stuff in the ACC. So let's go in the ACC. So I'm looking at just the rankings where they are from completion percentage this season. Tyler Van Dyke leads the ACC at 74.7%. And let's see, I just saw Drake May's at 16th in the country at 72.7. See if I can find Notre Dame, who played Sam Hartman, he's 66.2. Cade Klubnik, 60 is at 40.
Notre Dame's not in the ACC making.
I know.
with any stat out there, you can. Oh, sorry.
You can. I get your saying. I get you're going to go with that comment. Like,
if you look at his yards per completion, right? I think that's a lot of it. And,
Greg, we're getting copyrighted right now, man.
I know. I'm trying to kill it.
But like, it's just like 5 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 7 sacks.
Well, and let me ask this, and Scott puts his comments about him getting experience. He's at the very least talking about MJ. He's at the very least not going to be worse than Brennan Armstrong, so why not play him? Now, let me ask you this question, and
he could be.
Now he doesn't have the running ability, Brennan.
The running ability?
Yeah.
Brennan's very good. I wouldn't say elite, but he's a very good runner.
He's a very good runner. Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask this question, and maybe we can kind of move on, and we'll definitely talk more about Brandon during the Tuffy Talk After Dark here, as we got a couple more things to get to here. But I do want to ask you. Let's say a scenario. Let's say again you play through Clemson, and MJ is just not. He's just not clicking. Like it's just like at worst he's okay. I mean, at best he's okay. Like but he's not great. Do you consider sitting him and keeping his red shirt and bringing in Brennan for the rest of the season?
Well, that was kind of what I was asking earlier. That's kind of where I was going with that question. Other than the trick plays and all that, can you go back?
Working. Like
can you
go
back?
Working. And because here's my thing. I'm saying, and this is kind of my worry, is that honestly, one of my worries is that the Marshall game, whatever our first offensive drive, that literally the fans are going to go so ballistic about MJ starting a quarterback that's just going to be a huge gut punch, to the Brian Armstrong, just like that's going to be a tough one, to come back from, but I mean, it is what it is, but so yeah, unless you go 3 out, then Brandon Armstrong. Yeah. No, but I mean but I mean, again, hopefully we don't have to have that conversation.
Somebody should have Somebody should have a sign ready. The first play. Right the second play. After that, we want Brennan.
Okay, so let's talk stats real quick. All right, so bring up Brennan. His completion percentage was what? 58 and some change. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
So 58.8. Yeah,
58.8. So last year MJ Morris was 60.5.
Yeah.
7 touchdowns.
I'm not saying he's going to be better. Now I will say
no, but that's what everyone is saying. He's going to be so much better, right? And I'm not.
But 68.5 is that what you said?
No, 60.5 So only 2 points better.
Yeah, it's not that much better. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Right. That's the point. And his average on yards attempted on rushing was 1.8.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But now he's not as a freshman. He had to learn new offense.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's going to be this MJ to the rescue that everybody's. And I hate that. I honestly really don't like that the students did the whole thing on the campus of like missing persons report kind of thing. It's funny, but whatever.
Yeah,
it's like,
funny.
but like that to me is just like I don't know. To me, it's like you think that you just believe he's going to be this great thing. He's going to be better than that. Maybe they're just like, maybe they just think Brennan's just garbage. But like, I just think to your point, Lane, we can save a conversation for that. There's other position groups on this offense that are not doing good. So
yeah,
absolutely.
Here's the last thing I want to say about this. And we talk about the fan base, losing the fan base. What about losing the locker room if you don't make this change? Because there was some stuff going on out there, about, players and the BA experiment over and rumors of some players liking stuff out there. And is that a thing? Which I think it is a thing.
Oh yeah, no, I mean Torrey Holt retweeted the MJ Morris is missing thing. So I mean, even former in-state players a fan, but no, I mean it's I mean there's no doubt that everybody in the whole building saw Peyton Wilson's reaction when Brennan threw that last interception. And you know what, I get it. That and again we'll talk about Peyton here in a second, but that guy did it all. He basically did everything except for scanning tickets at the gate. Like that's the only thing he did not do during the game on Friday. Like he did it all. So
he worked concessions.
I mean, I swear I saw him up
really.
There, so,
wow.
Yeah, I swear.
That is impressive.
I agree. All right, y'all. So one question that got brought up in here: any real hope Sean Brown's targeting call gets overturned and he gets to play in the first half against Marshall?
Nah.
Nope.
I don't
but
think so.
I do have the clip here, so I do want to bring it up. And here's my thing. Here's my 2 cents on it. First and foremost, my initial reaction is that if you watch his helmet,
like again, like really hitting contact with the helmet, in my opinion.
But again, the technical rule is
leading with the crown.
Leading with the crown to the head or neck area. And so if I replay it again, technically, does he make contact with the neck? Yeah. Yes. So again, here's my thing.
By rule, it's targeting that.
By rule,
yeah, right.
It's targeting.
Definition of the rule, it's targeting. But
definition of rule, it's targeting. But I guarantee you there's not a defensive coach in the country that would not look at this play and go, I would be happy with that every single time. Like that is a beautiful hit to the chest. And like he came in with his head up and right towards the end, he came in. So that way it looks like to me, it's not necessarily the crown, but more of kind of the top of his face mask. Because I was saying it's kind of a disservice with how the uniform worked out because the face mask and the helmet are the same color. So you can't really differentiate, how low is he really going? You know what I mean? So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. Anything else to add on that?
It's bang, bang, but I don't think I just don't see enough there.
To overturn it. No.
I didn't even see which ref threw the flag. Which ref threw the flag? That guy?
I think it was the guy from the back.
Booth. I thought it was a booth review.
Oh, you're right.
It was a booth review.
It was late. Yep.
Well, because even the Louisville coaches, didn't react that strongly to this hit. I mean, everybody, including the player, even was like, all right,
right, yeah,
good hit, Sean Brown. On to the next.
That's what I'm saying. So by definition, it's probably targeting, but I wouldn't be surprised if they overturn it.
And because specifically, if I watch this angle again, watch this angle, it's really more towards he hits the shoulder pad.
Shoulder pad, yeah. It's just,
it's really not the neck. It's really more of the shoulder pad.
Yeah, so, and just by nature, because of the force getting hit, the guy's head's got to come back a little bit.
Right? Yeah.
So
So
I don't know. I just think, my opinion, it's NC
probably
State. It ain't happening.
Yeah, I don't know how many. Here's the other thing I'd like to know: how often are these things overturned? Is there a decent percentage? Is it done by the ACC? Is that who makes the determination on the appeal? Does it go to the NCAA? Yeah. I just don't know enough about it, so I can't really, definitively say one way or the other.
Now, I do want to bring up real quick this clip, which was hilarious after the game. Wolfpack Nation, the Twitter account posted this, but this video of the NC State fan recording up from the front row of it looks like maybe the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, defensive coordinator
doing adjustments and all the players freaking out, man. This is hilarious. And this is stuff I'm telling you, man. This is what makes Carter Finley so tough, man. Is it not only is the way it built make it really loud, but also you gotta be a little bit more hidden with your stuff, man.
Here's the thing I want to know is that kid going to get fined or suspended for throwing something at a fan? Because
hold on, this right here, that is a perfect screenshot. Man, if I could if this was middle of the game and I could take a screenshot of this and text it to Coach Dorn or Coach Gibson or Coach and I, whoever, real quick, that I don't know what that is on there, but maybe it could be helpful. I don't know, but that was a perfect screenshot if there was more on there. So
obviously something they wanted to hide.
Yeah, no, seriously, and I love too the Louisville
the equipment guy in the background smiling, and these players are kind of smiling. They're like, "This is funny."
And then he comes over there and blocks it with the one board. I'm like, you do know you have a whole sideline of NC State fans here, right? So,
and number 98's just losing his mind. He's like, "Hey, what's going on over here? We're gonna do something."
Well, 98 wasn't playing in the game.
Just saying. Yeah, so that was pretty funny. But anyway, good stuff.
He's
all right,
standing up and his jersey's too clean.
Yeah,
the guys who play get to sit down.
Yeah, exactly.
So Doc and Southern, we'll make sure to get to more of these questions here about MJ and Brennan here and the Tuffy Talk After Dark. So make sure to tune in for that, and we will make sure to get those questions. I know there's a lot more about it, but we have a lot more to get to here during this live show. So and appreciate Southern NC agreeing as well. That was a BS call. And the running into the kicker. Guess what? I got that coming right up. You ask and you shall receive. Now, click the wrong one. Give me 1 second. But anyway, go ahead and kind of give me your 2 cents. So first and foremost, I know after the game, I kind of put out kind of my thoughts on it, being that it was such a ticky-tack call, for such a, what could have been huge game-changing play, and saying, well, we didn't lose because of this play. And it's like, well, yeah, I'm not saying that we lost because of this play, but I'm saying it could have made a huge difference in the game for sure.
Yeah, you're still taking
field position plus timeouts.
Possession.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So, and because again, here's my 2 things. First and foremost, he made barely contact with the foot of the punter. And then you have to take into account the fact that, again, that the blocker literally pushed him into the punter.
And he tried he tried to avoid the contact either. It's not like he was going for the block and grazed him. He tried to get it out of the way too.
Yeah, there was not much contact there whatsoever. It was a very ticky-tack call.
Who that was for us.
32.
Let's see. Special teams guy. But
Baldwin.
Yeah.
Baldwin.
Jacoby Baldwin.
Jacoby Baldwin.
Yep.
I mean, how are you going to? The ref has seen our offense all game. Just throw us a bone. Let us try.
Come on, ref.
I mean, it was a pretty good acting job too by the kicker.
And he got fired up. That's how you know it's a BS call too. When the punter gets up and he's that happy about getting. Well,
and the fact that they didn't originally throw the flag, the ref had to discuss it to drop it. It's like, okay, so if you're talking about it, that means it's really close. There's no reason that you need to put your footprint on this game based on that. That again, I'm saying more of the minimal contact combined with the fact that he was blocked into him. That by itself should nullify.
Yeah.
That by itself. So, but anyway, and then for questions about what is Tuffy Talk After Dark. So once again, so we kind of call that as like the continuation of the live show. So basically our episodes this week will just be continuation right after this live show, talking about all things NC State. So that's what we call Tuffy Talk After Dark. But anyway, so
one to bring up more salty over there too.
Yeah, we do get a little more salty. Why not? Sure. Yeah. Hey, I like it. So that was the worst call I've ever seen outside of Duke Miami game a few years ago. Should have just plowed the kicker, even earned the hate. Well, no, don't want that, because then that would have been roughing the kicker, which would have been 15 yards instead of running into the kicker, which was 5 yards. So it makes a little bit of a difference there, but I see what you're saying. Anyway, though, so moving on to our next tweet of the week here. Got to give a shout out here real quick here to these uniforms, man. I got to give a shout out here to Greg, who, I mean, I know the whole week coming up to it, you were saying, man, I don't think this blackout's going to work. But I mean, I don't know what your thoughts were, but to me, it was pretty darn good blackout, man.
Pretty good.
It was.
It looked good in pictures. Like when I watched a little bit on TV, what I could see is like, it was a good job, Wolfpack Nation.
I did an informal, I don't know, survey poll or whatever. If you were under the age of 55, your chances of wearing black were much higher than over the age of 55.
Yeah. But either way, Greg
loves their red.
But either way, Greg, you gotta admit
they did good. They did good. I was
blackout.
It was better than I had expected. So I do
absolutely
Pack Nation credit for that, and I give all the social media folks that put a tweet, Instagram
now
post.
You know
whatever.
The recipe, right? Now you know the recipe.
You just got to pound it.
Crap out of it.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to keep going.
2 weeks in advance, and then follow up every day.
Exactly.
Yep. Southern Tennessee uniform was fire. Waiting for the quote unquote "we are the red and white." Yes.
We've
been dealing with those all week.
Yeah,
we've been dealing with those all week. But the one thing which I will say though, and I tweeted this during the game, that the glow in the dark effect was completely non-existent. Unfortunately,
right? That was
that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, totally. And like even for because I actually got my jersey tee, like you literally have to like put your hands around it and look at it in order to see it glow in the dark. So
you have to charge it, like I said. And here's the other thing: the problem was it was still light outside. Like at kickoff, it was like 6:45, 6:50. Hey, Andy's a real fan though. Andy's come to my tailgate a couple times. I like Andy. He gets it. He gets it. He's a fan. The reason I say that is a lot of people older, and I'm not backpedaling, don't get on the social media. They don't, get into it, and it's good though. That's okay.
Yep. Nope. Hey, it was good stuff. No, and again, it was still a very clean, awesome looking uniform. And excited to see what's next. But gotta give a shout out though.
One more second.
Oh, go ahead.
Not as old as you, Mama Smith.
Oh, geez.
All right, there you go.
I thought Miss Kathy was like well under 40.
Oh,
she's
hear that.
Yeah,
that got me brownie points right there. That got me brownie points
totally.
right there. So.
Totally, you're invited Thanksgiving, Macon. Absolutely. All right, so gotta give a shout out.
I am not.
Wow.
Yeah.
Player of the game, y'all, for NC State is nobody else but this man right here, Peyton Wilson, man, ACC linebacker of the week. And I'm telling you this right now, y'all. I'm putting my stake in it, man. Like, to me, he like there's a list of guys that are like beloved by NC State fans, throughout history and will be forever. Peyton Wilson absolutely needs to be close to the top of that list, if not at the top of that list. I mean, he's a guy that not only, in my opinion, is a top 5 linebacker in state history, like in my opinion, which I know is tough, but
we'll have to talk about that after dark.
Which I mean, but for me and my money, I'm sitting here saying the talent, the leadership, the versatility of this guy. Like, this guy has speed. Again, I mean, like how fast he ran down that Notre Dame wide receiver, but also too, I mean, like you see him put the rock, in out of it and just like smash guys. Like he can pass rush, he can, run block. I mean, he can do it all. Like he does everything. So, I mean, got to give a shout out to this guy. 10 tackles, on the game. and including to the fake punt, which was awesome. Like,
which I called.
Yep, nope. Greg did call it. Like this dude is like Southern NC said it best. Peyton Wilson is NC State football right now, and I completely agree with that. He when you think of NC State football right now, you think of Peyton Wilson, rightfully so. Good for him.
Yep.
So,
side note, did anybody else catch the stat that they mentioned? It was with Bill Cowher. He was linebacker, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody remember his record he has? Did you hear that?
No.
Blew my mind. He has a NC State record, single season tackles in 1970. You know how many tackles that dude had in 1970?
Yeah. It was like 150 or something.
More.
Something crazy. More than that.
195 tackles.
You want to hear something else crazy about that stat? They played less games than.
Yeah, they didn't play like 10 or 11 games. Right?
That's just
probably 10.
Wow, that is mind blowing.
If it's 10,
and he did twice. He did twice too because he's number 3. He had and so the year before in 1977 he had 176 tackles. The year after he had 195,
which was interesting. They put a whistle by his name.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's known for that.
And that is a good point, actually, because he never coached at NC State.
Right.
We wanted him to, but he never did.
Yeah, we've definitely tried. It's not.
I was just thinking, like, could someone like Peyton Wilson, like, where is he even at right now? Is he even close to what he did when he had the 108 tackles?
Well, and maybe kind of let me take a step back and say, if I were to make an all-time NC State team, I would highly consider putting Peyton Wilson on it. Now, in terms of like top 5 all time, because injuries have definitely held him back, the stats may not back that up. So maybe I might kind of preface that a little bit, saying that if I were to make an all-time team based on his versatility, his talent, and his leadership, Peyton Wilson definitely is in the conversation for me.
But, no, he's up there. I'm like, I was just thinking, like, because his Bill Cowher, it was the game we honored him. I was like, just for comparison, like. We think of Peyton Wilson as this great player. He's going to be a pro, but he's going to. I don't know. It made me think about that stat I heard as a random thought. I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah, that's an insane stat though. Like I knew Bill Cowher.
195. So you say he played 10 games?
Probably.
So he averaged 20 tackles a game. He averaged it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, let's pull up the while we're talking. So if somebody wants to talk, I'll pull up how many games we played that year. So go for it.
Probably.
Well, and Infinite brings up a good point, saying that they ran the ball much more probably back in the day than they do now.
Yep.
So does that explain the linebackers getting more tackles? I agree with that 100%. That's a great thought, Infinite.
State was 9-3. They were 9-3.
Okay, so that was a 12.
Okay, so 12.
But that was probably with a bowl game though.
Yes, the bowl game was a 12th game, and they played number 16 Pittsburgh and won in the Tangerine Bowl.
Tangerine. Okay, I was thinking maybe Bonnet.
Yeah, random, but played number 2 Penn State that year too. Random.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I think they lost 10-0, 9-6, something like that.
10-19.
19. I know there was a 10 in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Anyways, I just thought this was just like Peyton Wilson is NC State football. He's the guy you want representing your team right now. And he is. And I know we also talked about Sean Brown earlier briefly with the targeting. He had a really good game too. I think he had like 8 tackles. Mm-hmm. So he's a young guy who's developing. He flashed last year on special teams in particular.
Didn't really get beat, I don't think.
Yeah, defenses look solid. I think State's kind of feeling really nervous about safety position next weekend, which is why I think partly they're appealing that. Targeting call. But
all righty, so moving on to a team that deserves all the recognition in the world. And again, we'll talk more in state football on the Tuffy Talk After Dark episode, so make sure to tune in again Wednesday morning and Thursday morning for both those. Got to give you a huge shout out to this NC State Pac volleyball team who is absolutely just came out swinging to start the season. I think now they're 13-2 on the season, 2-1 in the ACC, and now have their first ever win over a top 5 program in the history of the program. They've never beaten. So it was the first win over a top 5 opponent in program history. It was the first win over a ranked opponent in Reynolds Coliseum. So this is the first time we've ever beaten a ranked opponent at home. Mm-hmm. It's the second win over a ranked opponent in program history. So we've only ever beaten one ranked opponent outside of this one.
Yeah,
and you're beating a top 5 team in the country. Like this early in the season, like you got to be absolutely thrilled as can be about this program for sure.
Yeah, a couple more things about Louisville. They had won 12 ACC matches in a row before losing to us yesterday, and they had won 71 of 72 overall matches. So
wow.
Yeah.
I mean, so my question is this the how many years has Slave?
I think this is his 3rd or 4th.
I think
is this the breakout year for him as a coach? So I know he's an Olympic. Did he win an Olympic volleyball?
Yeah, he was an assistant coach.
Yeah.
Is this a breakout year for us? I don't know.
I mean, it's starting off that
Seems
way.
Like it.
Sure.
I think they're 13-2 now.
Yeah, 13-2, 2-1 ACC.
Yeah.
So
I've been watching them from afar this season. I keep saying I want to get to a game. It's just hard to get to the games with being like on Fridays and Sundays a lot. I mean, they're fun to watch. I definitely have enjoyed. I think this is the 3rd match that I've watched him play. I watched him play in the Utah tournament, and then this one yesterday was the game that I had, or match. Excuse me, I keep saying game, but match that I watched. I watched it from the after the first set because I forgot what was on, but it was exciting. I think it was the second time they took a set from Louisville before winning the match, if my memory serves me correctly. Also. So
yeah, they won the first 2 sets, lost the 3rd one. So basically, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead. I think you're going with where I was going to say. So go for it.
So basically, Louisville had to win that 3rd set just to avoid getting swept. Which I mean, could you imagine if we had swept number 5 Louisville? That'd be
what I was going to say was we'd only ever won just one set ever in the history of the series. But actually, wait, maybe we beat them once. I can't remember. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Yeah.
But either way, though, got to give a huge shout out to Lucas Labe, this coaching staff and this team who've absolutely come out firing. And if they keep this up, then again, it just goes back to the point once again that we've made 100 times over and over and over again with Wolfpack Nation, which is, I mean, between wrestling, women's and men's soccer, now volleyball, gymnastics, there's so many sports within NC State that are competitive at the top of the ACC and competitive nationally. So go support these men and women for sure. I mean, tickets are super cheap, if not free. So make sure you go and support them.
Yeah, it's like I think it's like $5 or $7 a match. It's really cheap. Yeah. It's not free.
Well, let's bring this up real quick. So Hayes Lancaster screenshotted and posted a ticket stub where he bought a ticket. I think it was like $7 or $8, but he bought it ahead of time and he had a $5 processing fee added onto a $7 or $8 ticket. And basically he quote tweeted NC State saying like, what the heck? Like I do the most beneficial thing for you guys and for me in ordering a ticket ahead of time and I have to pay almost 80% upcharge, just to do it. And I told him, I was like, unfortunately, the day of the volleyball game, you could literally just probably go right up to the gate and buy a ticket in 2 minutes, and save yourself $5. And he's like, but again, why do I have to do that? I'm like, I don't know. Again, I'm not saying that's what you should do. I'm saying that's just the unfortunate reality, which it shouldn't be that way. So.
Or just call it $13 and no service fee, and I would feel much better about my life.
Yeah, but then it's like, okay, well, you're asking me to pay $13 ahead of time, or $7 or $8 at the door. Like,
no,
so,
I don't know if you can even buy tickets at the door. Sometimes they don't even. They don't. I don't know if they do, but
they do. I got you.
They don't charge you a service fee to buy from the box office.
No, not a $5 like that. No, definitely not.
There you go. So, Infinite hate as always. I pay $8 for volleyball mattresses purchasing at the front of Reynolds as I walk in. So there you go.
Yeah. You didn't trust me, Greg? You had to.
Okay. So this even makes even less sense than if she's paying $8 for a $7 ticket for the service charge. It makes no sense.
The ticket is $1 cheaper if you buy it ahead of time, but the fee is $5 more expensive.
Make it make sense.
So either way, NC State athletics definitely needs to figure that out though, because it's like for me, it's not worth $5 extra to buy it ahead of time when I could just go up to the booth and just pay, and just take 2 minutes and save by $5. So just my 2 cents there. But anyway, though, now I wanted to give a quick shout out to, if I can get to this tweet of the week here too, giving a shout out to Madison Williams, who got co-offensive player of the week. And because I have to remind everybody once again, that doesn't know anything about ACC volleyball, ACC has a couple of really good top elite programs nationally. And I mean, Pitt's been the school over the last couple of years, and then Louisville's up there. Stanford, yeah.
I see what you did there, Michael.
They are really good, though.
They are really good.
I think Notre Dame's pretty good too, from my memory.
Probably.
Yeah, they are. But I mean, like Louisville and Pitt are usually the two main dogs for sure in the fight. And so, I mean, for somebody like Madison Williams to get named a co-offensive player of the week with the amount of talent we have in the ACC is a huge testament to how well she did. So a huge shout out to Madison and the rest of this staff for sure. Again, excited to see where this goes and see if they're the breakout, because I know for me, I've been calling for quite some time that gymnastics this year is going to be the breakout program, but maybe volleyball might beat them to it. Maybe it could be volleyball being the breakout.
Volleyball, they actually have all 15 schools play volleyball, so it's not like one of those leagues where you only have like 4 or 5 teams. It's a full complement.
Interesting. Yeah, and Michelle points out that Georgia Tech right now is number 13 in the country.
I think that was our loss, right? I think we lost to
Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
So not too bad of a loss. So,
and I don't know how up to actually. So through today, or actually yesterday, NC State was number 27 in the RPI for volleyball. So that should jump, and there was multiple ACC schools. Wake Forest is in the top 25, and so it's a good conference.
Interesting thoughts. So with that being said, we want to kind of get this thing wrapped up here so we can jump on over to our Tuffy Talk After Dark. But I do want to give our guy Greg the Leg an opportunity here to kind of give me a little bit of insight here, man, because I need to know. So it seems like Jaden Adams from News and Observer got into it a little bit here, so kind of give me a little bit of the background here, because I don't even necessarily know too much about it, because I know you had sent this to me right before as a joke, and I'm like, no, let's talk about it, because I see and hear the comments about true fans and selling tickets, things like that. So I want to know what's going on here, man.
Yeah, so during Coach Doran's press conference, Jaden Adams asked Doran what his thoughts were on fans just basically abandoning the season, giving away their tickets, saying that they were done. And I took a little umbrage, if you will, with that question, because I thought, like, with everything going on, I just thought there was probably a better question that she could have asked. And I just kind of went with, like, one, I haven't seen any of this on social media at all. And so that was kind of my response. And she was just basically, well, just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it's not happening. And I was like, okay, fine. Like, you're right. I haven't seen it. I will acknowledge that. But I guarantee you, less than 1% of the fan base is probably feeling this way of all of the posts about NC State football. It's not about that. And then I was just, you probably could have asked, with everything else going on, this is what you led with. So,
well, he kind of.
How did Doran take it? How did Doran take it?
He basically is like, he took it the way you could kind of see he wasn't exactly thrilled with the question.
Right.
But I can't tell you what fans should do or shouldn't do with their tickets. I'm going to tell you that we're going to go out and bust our asses. I don't think he used that word, but if he hadn't, he was probably thinking it. And we're going to do everything that we can to get better. And he says he acknowledged that they needed to get better multiple times during the press conference, and that they're not going to abandon us, and so we shouldn't abandon them. And
amen.
That was basically my same sentiment too. And look, and we've gotten in here at Tuffy Talk, we've gotten into it with the fans before, and I won't name Ken's. Sorry. And I love her. She's not wrong. But if you're a fan, you ride and die with your team. I mean, it's just simple as that. Don't be fair weather. There's no need to be fair weather. If you want to give your tickets away, if you want to sell your tickets, that's your God-given right, as you have bought those tickets with your hard-earned money. But don't call yourself a fan if you're going to do it. I get it if you sell your ticket because you can't make it because of a prior engagement, you can't get babysitting, the weather looks like crap. I would almost give you a pass on that. But not because the team's not doing well. That's just not how I roll. So anyway.
Well, and because the last thing which I'll say that is it kind of reminds me of people giving this one commentator a hard time when they asked Chris Jones, the defensive tackle, for the Chiefs last night. They kind of asked him a question, be like, man, like preparing for this game, you have to admit that watching Zach Wilson's tape, man, that he is garbage. Like, would you agree with that? And it's like that like that's totally trying to get a reaction out.
Yeah,
Chris Jones making a comment about Zach Wilson's talent. And to me, like, that's a question where you're kind of asking Doran to make a comment about the fans, like commitment or things like that, which luckily enough, I mean, from everything you're telling me, I'm sitting here saying, Doran, you're my man. Like, that was a beautiful answer to that question.
He
could have gone very bad. So huge shout out there. And yeah, definitely. I'm not really sure what, because that there is no statistics to back that up. And that is a huge claim.
And I think for me, and maybe this isn't fair on her, but she's new to the beat. Like, I don't know how much history she knows about. Like, I tried to do a little digging into like where she comes from, what she's about, like how much she knows about NC State and the passionate fans. And it just seemed like, do you even know who we are? Like, we literally sell out when this team is a mediocre 500 team. Like, we show up and show out. So for you to like pose that nonsense, it just didn't sit well with me. So
absolutely. Yeah. So
yeah, and Virginia Tech can say the same thing. Like, they're a little bit down and they're still show up. Like, fans show up.
Yeah. No, State has a great reputation, luckily, of packing out the Carter through the better and through the worst. So, but again, I still feel very confident that we can, definitely have a good season in front of us. Maybe not to that 8 or 9 win season, maybe that we had originally expected, but I still think 7 or 6, 7, maybe even 8 is possibly on the table. Sure, but again, we'll see. Take it one game at a time. Let's see how MJ looks. Let's see how everything clicks against Marshall, and we'll go from there. All right, y'all. So with that being said, we're going to jump on over here and start recording our Tuffy Talk After Dark, which we have a couple of fan mail questions, which we'll get to and discuss on there, and a couple of tweets a week, which we'll just kind of discuss on there as well. But for us, if you haven't already, make sure again to hit that subscribe button. It's free to do, and to make sure that you're notified whenever we release any new Tuffy Talk content. And also to make sure, if you haven't already, if you enjoyed this conversation, hit that like button, y'all, and then also to make sure if you have any additional questions, thoughts, comments, make sure to leave them down there in the comments as well, and give us a follow on Tuffy Talk Now at Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, y'all. But we look forward to hopefully seeing y'all next week. Thrilled as can be after a huge win over Marshall, undefeated Marshall coming in, and Carson reminds us here with a top 25 defense as well. So excited to see what this game looks like, but excited to see the Carter packed here on Saturday, y'all. So with that being said, we'll see y'all soon, and go Pack, y'all. Be Marshall, baby.